Okay. He wants $1 billion more for education. Where is he needed? The pension crisis? Sure. Prevailing wage laws that should have been changed years ago, adds up to construction costs. All of those things are where we need the money. It has nothing to do with educating or books for the kids. $1 billion more for public education. Read now are $3,000 per student higher than the national average. Well, we need another $1 billion. Reminds me of the saying that you throw your money after a problem that you're trying to see it disappear. The only thing disappears is the money. And that's where we're heading with another $1 billion for public education. Anyway, just keep in mind, pensions right now are $55 billion in the hole. And the governor has no intention of changing the plan. He just wants to float the bonds out to Never Never Land so the grandkids will pick up the tab. Well, there's pushback. And I can tell you that based on my discussions with people like Senator Wagner, they're making some real effort to make change. Of course, the bill right now is new employees will come in on a 401k, just like private industry. But all those existing employees, which is 80–90%, they're going to maintain their pension system, defined benefits, and we'll have to kick money into the kitty to cover them. By the same token, the politicians. I had a letter in the paper the other day on the pensions, not justified. Anybody read that? A couple read it. Well, here's my point. Article 2, Section 8, I've said it before. It clearly states elected officials are entitled to salary and mileage and no other compensation whatever. Supreme Court ruled pensions are benefits, therefore they're constitutional. Benefits isn't in the Constitution either. I wrote back to the Supreme Court and I told them that in the first place, you should have recused yourself because you're under the same umbrella, you had selfish interests. And secondly, you violated my protection, my Constitution. Need I say more? Two of the Supreme Court justices have just been booted out in shame, so don't tell me that that ethical branch of government is looking out for my interests. Anyway, that's where we are there. I looked over the bills today. What do I got? I looked over the bills today up in the House. I ran all these bills, the whole sheet of them. 38 bills. And just to give you an idea, we got the most expensive and best compensated government in the nation, by far. What do they do when they're up there? Well, here we go. In the House today, I ran it off today. The kind of stuff they're looking at now: Pharmacy Act, designation of a bridge at Bellefonte, Veterans Bridge, a daycare center, agriculture, air security, a tax reform code for tourism and marketing, an act to amend consolidated statute of the marriage ceremony, municipal pension plan. No, not related to changing the pension system. This is just to change the defined contribution, not to do that, but just to change how the money is being accumulated. Social worker marriage, Family Therapy and Professional Counselor Act, Hazardous Material Energy Planning, tax credits to honor vets, designated a bridge to the Honorable Nicholas McCosey, whoever he is. He was a state rep. Several on real estate tax laws when selling or buying property, nothing to do with eliminating it. Welfare, domestic relations, designation of a section of a bridge as the William Ganneret, Phil, and Ed James Heflin Bay Memorial Bridge. A month designation of Steve Johnson Syndrome awareness. It goes on. It just keeps going and going and going. In the Senate, amend judicial procedures regarding bonds. Falsification and intimidation regarding crimes. Eliminate certain reporting duties of Budget and Finance Committee. Amend the system of higher education, intellectual property tax, professional psychology. Enough said. All of these bills, you didn't hear me say one word about property tax, pension reform, liquor store privatization, or paycheck protection. Is it any wonder why you have the biggest and most expensive government in the nation? That's what they do up there. That's why you catch these guys playing solitaire on their computer while sitting in their pew as they're rattling off these stupid bills or deferred to other committees. There's a lot of states only meet once every other year, or they meet part-time. They don't put up with this crap. I'm tired of putting up with it too. We don't need all this baloney. We need them to do the job and go home. Speaking of privatizing of liquor stores, now, some say, well, we can't do that. It puts liquor on the streets. Let me tell you where we are on this. Privatization of liquor stores, ethics and corruption. I don't have time to go through all the gifts and the tricks, but Tim Finger was former chief of the LCB in charge of project management, product management. He spent his career whining and dining on gift cards, tickets to football games, Kid Rock concerts, World Series games, Philly Strip Club, $4,100 bar tab at that night. His boss, Jim Short, told him, don't worry, if nobody questions it, don't worry about it. So they kept it up. What finally happened? The Ethics Commission finally had these guys return $23,000 of monies they didn't deserve. That's what happens when a liquor store is run by the government. They don't care. We got to put an end to it, and one end to it is get rid of the government in liquor stores because they don't deserve to be there. Positive note, I'll finish with positive. Property tax. On June 16th, Dave Arnold reintroduced SB 76. The House also approved 504. Now, 504 is a partial reduction to property taxes through an increase in sales and income tax. However, it doesn't solve the problem. Those of us that know what's going on know that that's not the answer. Over in the Senate, they passed SB 1, which is another bill, but they also, that's pension reform, they also put back on the table HB 76. Now, a bill has to start in the House if it's financial, but if it goes over to the Senate, they can gut it, they can amend it, they can do anything they want. If they tack SB 76 on that bill and send it back to the House, that puts the burden on them. They're not going to watch the fur fly because the upper chamber told the lower chamber, we want property tax elimination. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. Pensions, final point. Well, that was my final point. My time is up, so Major Bose told me it's up, but thank you.
Before I ask our private citizens to come up here, I'd like to explain about the format for tonight. There's going to be conflicting views. I would ask that everyone be respectful. Not everybody's going to have the same opinion as you are, or as I am. I like to use the Reagan rule myself. He used the 80-20 rule. If you get along 80% of the time, the other 20% didn't much matter, you know, so just please be respectful of everyone's views. Let everyone voice their opinion tonight, and of course question it if you want to, but just do it in a respectful way. That's all we ask. So I'd like to ask our first speaker to come up here tonight. That's Christine Wysocki. She's a stay-at-home mom. Pardon me? Oh, somebody put stay-at-home mom here. Oops, sorry. My notes are wrong. I apologize. But anyhow, please come up and have the microphone for about 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Christine Wysocki. I teach at Schuylkill Valley Middle School, and I've been a teacher here for 27 years. And I was asked to be here to share with you my opinion, or what I see as Common Core, or how it relates to the classroom. So instead of giving you my opinions, I'm showing you some factual things that came from the Pennsylvania Department of Education website. We are given what they call eligible content. That's what we're expected to teach the children. And in that eligible content, then, they have a website where you go for materials that you should be using to teach the children of Pennsylvania. Now, you can opt to decide to go ahead and purchase some of those Common Core materials, which I will tell you that I have not done. at all, because I think they're a waste of money personally when you look at the questions and how they're asked. But I want to show you a few things. On the SAS website, it's called Standards Aligned Systems. In 6th grade, there is a concept in mathematics called box and whisker plots. Do you know what a box and whisker plot is? Anyone? You do. It's collecting data. And I can see by the hands, it's not something that you use in your day-to-day life so much. Well, when I contacted the person in charge of the Department of Education and the mathematics curriculum, I said, you know, I'm looking over this, and when I pulled up a lesson for box and whisker plots, the lesson says it's for grades 9 through 12. And he said, oh, well, are you sure that box and whisker plots is part of the curriculum in 6th grade? I said, I'm looking at your website. It's on here. He said, oh, well, let me see. I showed him the lesson. He said, well, that's a mistake. That shouldn't be on there. And I said, are you checking the resources that you're giving us to teach? Because if I wouldn't have checked that, teachers may be using this, and it's completely developmentally inappropriate. Another one, I have a child in 3rd grade, and by the way, he was opted out of the PSSA tests. When I was looking over the preliminary item and scoring sampler, this is what's given to teachers to teach the children so that they aren't completely shocked when the tests are handed out to them. I noticed that the poet happened to be a poet that I teach in 6th grade. So I did an online readability study on this poem, and it came out to be a 7.2 grade level poem being taught to 3rd graders. So when my son brings this home and he looks at me and says, Mommy, I don't understand this, that's because he is not developmentally ready to understand that. So I went ahead and looked at the 6th grade one. In the 6th grade poem that we teach, Poem of Stone Soup, when the readability study was done, it was a 10.1. Now, last thing I would like to share with you. The PSSA test design comes out, and this tells you what types of questions there are, how many for language arts. This was done in July of 2014 to use for this year. There were 20 multiple choice questions. These were core questions that all children have that are in common. Then there were 6 psychometric use questions and 8 embedded questions. Now, to let you know what the embedded questions are, those are ones that the test company is just testing out. So your children and grandchildren are being used as test marketers for questions for future exams. And they are not paying 1 cent for the use of your children's heads to get their questions for subsequent tests. So 20 of the questions counted. 14 did not out of those multiple choice questions. So one day of testing, you are paying me as a teacher to walk up and down an aisle, making sure that children are taking the test and not cheating, although I can't look at any parts of the test at all, or I could lose my teaching license and pay a fine. The children are told at the beginning of the test to read a section at the bottom, which I couldn't see. When the children, after they finished reading it, a little boy looked up and said, well, they said I could get a $25,000 fine if I talk about this test to someone. And I looked at them because I wasn't privy to that information. I said, no one can fine you for telling your mother how the test went today or something like that. And they were really alarmed. But I thought that you should know that your children are being used as test marketers, and the children never ever really receive any feedback from the test as far as specifics on how they performed. That's all I have.
Little click here, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I'm filling in here. Jim is out being interviewed with Channel 69 News. But anyway, the next speaker we have is Jackie Marzuziak, who's a student. Is that right? She snuck up on me. Okay, you're on.
Hi, I'm Jackie Marzuziak. I'm going to be a junior next year at school Schuylkill Valley High School. And I'm going to share my student experience with the Keystone Test. So far during my time in school, I've taken the algebra, biology, and literature Keystone exams. And I can say without a doubt that they were all a waste of time, money, and energy. First of all, Keystone testing disrupts normal learning in classrooms. Some teachers begin teaching to the test and take time out of normal learning curriculum to specifically address test questions and techniques. This isn't because students aren't learning the information they will see on the Keystone exams, but because they need to become familiar with the confusing, unnecessary, and tedious questions they will be asked. And if teachers choose not to address the exam in order to continue regular teaching, they risk students failing the exam. Keystone tests are also a huge waste of money. For example, if students fail the exam, they're provided with remediation. However, the Department of Education doesn't provide the cost of remediation, leaving an estimate of a $300 million unfunded mandate to schools, increasing school property taxes. If this wasn't enough, starting in 2017, it's required for students to pass the Keystone exams to graduate. Given the fact that classes in no way correlate with the test, and is not an accurate measure of students' intelligence or teachers' effectiveness, it's a preposterous requirement. Keystone exams are moving education farther away from personalized learning and the success of students in different fields by creating a bar every student is expected to reach. To make one exam a requirement for someone to graduate is ridiculous. 12 years of knowledge can't be condensed into a 2-hour test. The exams don't predict the success of students, rather, it holds some students back from becoming more successful. Expecting individual and unique students to all succeed on a standardized test is not realistic. Keystone exams do not benefit students or teachers. Keystone exams do not predict the success of students or teachers. And Keystone exams certainly aren't helping anyone become successful. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to ask Joanne Yarchek. Yarchek? I was close. Okay. She's a retired college teacher, and let's give you time.
I'm also a grandmother of 4 grandchildren in Delaware County. Tonight, I shall briefly present my concerns about the math methodologies and curriculum associated with Common Core. I speak from the perspective of an engineer and retired college teacher. Although proponents will tell you that Common Core is only standards, namely what must be taught, and doesn't dictate curriculum, that's what they say, or how it should be taught. This is definitely not what happens in practice. Make no mistake, there are specific methodologies associated with Common Core math instruction. Non-traditional and misguided approaches to math education are not new, but have been creeping into our schools for decades. Math instruction under Common Core has unfortunately embraced such ill-advised methodologies, such as excessive group learning, teacher facilitation, and rejection of drill and rejection of memorization of math facts. It is typical to teach the theory behind computations before students learn how to perform them. This puts the cart before the horse and is extremely confusing for children. In problem solving, children are rightly required to show their mathematical calculations, but then they're often inappropriately expected to provide written explanations of the why of each step. This unnecessary focus on writing and